I'm offering this practice from a chair because ideally, when we sit down to enjoy nourishment through food, we are sitting down. I understand that that is a challenge, but a big part of a yoga therapist's work is also the practice of Ayurveda. And this is the sister science to yoga. This is sort of the healthcare system of yoga. And it offers a lot of helpful nuggets, but one of its biggest suggestions is to sit down and to create a welcoming, pleasing space when you are about to eat, and to also relax your body, not to eat if you're feeling stressed or if you're feeling angry, if you're feeling scattered, but to take just a moment or two to be able to calm yourself and prepare your body for digestion. And it doesn't take very long. So I'm going to show you a few tools, and these are tools that you can use whether you're about to eat or not. One of my favorite things is to offer micro practices. Nobody will know that you are doing these practices, but for you, they might have a big impact in grounding you. So once you find that comfortable seat, it's nice to lengthen your spine. For grounding, it's nice to place your hands face down on your thighs and to feel both of your feet flat on the ground. Lift and spread your toes. Place them back on the ground. Take a very deep breath and see if you can relax the abdomen a little bit. And once you really allow yourself to relax, you might notice how much tension you were holding there. And that's very common. We do want to allow ourselves to relax. And sometimes it can feel uncomfortable to let go there. We haven't really been taught to let go there. So we just do our best. We're really kind to ourselves. Now, for some of us, especially if we run more on the anxious side, just taking a deep breath and feeling our body or feeling our feet on the ground, it doesn't come to us immediately. We need to move a little first. So 2 suggestions. First, I'd like you to stamp your feet on the ground just for a minute or 2. Just stamp, 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 stamp. Whether you're seated or standing, and you need this in another situation in your life, this simple, real world practice of stamping your feet and then planting your feet and noticing the new sensations that you feel at your feet is a way to move from living in the mind and the momentum of thought and rumination and bringing your awareness down into your feet. When we bring all of our awareness into the connection points between our body and what is holding us, that does anchor us into right here, right now. Because if you think about it, our physical body is the part of us that is always present. It's so easy to be disconnected from the physical body because of our tendency to be thinking, scanning, worrying. But if we create a stronger sensation at the base of our body, this place that is very symbolic around grounding us and rooting us and connecting us to earth, that can have an effect that brings us back to present-centered awareness. And any time that we are cultivating present-centered awareness, this is the time when we are ready for digestion, and not just of food, but of life experiences, of the day's events. But when we are not present, it's more challenging to integrate all of that and to take part in digestion in all of its forms. So we've started by feeling our feet on the ground. Next, turn your palms up and begin to notice the sensations in your hands. This is another area of our physical body that has a lot of sensation, and for some people, even easier to tap into than their feet. And it's really good for the mind to feel 2 sides of the body at the same time. So feel both of your hands at the same time, all fingertips at the same time. And then if you feel like you need even more movement and a little bit more of a release, Notice the difference if you allow yourself to move your shoulders a little bit. So one shoulder at a time, up, back, and down. A few deeper breaths as you do this. Now, what if we just did this when we sat down, even if we were present for the first couple bites of a meal, releasing tension from the shoulders. So now notice as you drop your shoulders back and down and turn your palms up, notice how that feels. Just a little bit of movement can help us to regulate our breath. And when we're regulating our breath, deepening our breath, freeing our breath, it helps us to regulate our mind, which means thinking more presently rather than thinking more unskillfully, especially about ourselves, which can be such a tendency. Deepen the breath. And now I invite you to feel both of your feet and both of your hands at the same time. If you need to go back and forth between the two, the feet and the hands, that's fine. But see if you can feel sensations in the feet, their connection to ground, and sensation in the hands at the same time. And if it's not comfortable to close your eyes, I do invite you to turn your gaze within just by gazing somewhere that isn't moving, eyes soft. And now that your breath might be coming a little bit more effortlessly, now that we've moved a little bit, see if you can relax the abdomen once more. And you might find that it comes a bit easier. And see if you can feel your inhalation expand the abdomen and the rib cage, not just at the front of the torso, but the sides of your torso and the back of your torso. And notice where else you're feeling expansion when you inhale and when you exhale. Notice the expansion that you're feeling at the abdomen, maybe the chest, maybe even down the arms and the legs into the hands and the feet. And then we begin to move the breath around through a visualization. And for some people, this is really helpful for staying present, for having body awareness and breath awareness. It's very engaging for the mind. And I'm offering you a few things because we're all different. Something else will work for each of us. On your next inhalation, I invite you to imagine your inhalation moving in through your nose, down the length of your body, all the way down to the soles of your feet. And then when you exhale, picture your exhale moving back up from the soles of the feet, up the body and out the nose. So inhale, watch the breath being drawn down the length of the body to the feet. And exhale, watch your breath coming back up your body and out the nose, just for a few rounds. When the mind wanders, know that that's natural, that's okay, but see if you can move it back to watching the breath in and down to the feet. And then exhale back up and out. You might even start to feel this roll of breath in and down and up and out. And then finally, I invite you to feel your whole body here, seated on this chair, feet on the floor, connection of pelvis, sit bones on the chair, Maybe your back is being supported. Feel all the connection points between your body and what your body is supported by. Feel temperature and texture on skin. Feel your whole body here in this space. And tune into your senses now. If your eyes are closed, you can still focus on sight. If it were mealtime, you might let yourself really taste your food with your eyes first, taking in color and texture. Let yourself open to the sound in your space. No stories, no thinking, simply witnessing and listening. And then tap into two of the senses that can be so helpful, especially if we're really present with our senses. Our food tastes better. We feel more filled with the sensation of taste and smell if we really tap into scent and taste in the mouth. And walk through all senses one at a time. Touch, where you feel sensation, where you feel connection, where you feel texture and air. Sight, sound, scent, and taste. And now that you are right here, right now, whatever you may be moving into, whether it's a meal or you're using a grounding practice because you'd like to have an easeful transition into another part of your day, maybe this is time for some gratitude. And we'll work with this later in our guided meditation. Now, ultimately, the hope is that we are able to find some gratitude for our body, but that can be a big ask. But think about an aspect of body that you can be authentically grateful for. Your legs for all the places they've taken you, your feet for the way that they support you, your hands for all that they've been able to create and touch, one of your senses. Now think about an area of your body that you are truly able to say thank you to, and see if you can connect with that. And maybe one day it is these miraculous systems of our bodies that we forget about, but are constantly taking care of us. And the more we practice the art of presence, the more we tap into what we are truly hungry for. And I know that's been part of my journey. You know, thinking I'm hungry for a certain taste can also signal that I'm needing something else in my life. But it all starts with presence, and it all starts with learning to listen and learning to have compassion. So a really simple way to show yourself compassion is either one hand or both hands to the symbolic heart. And just a reminder to ourselves, we're here. I've got my own back. I'm listening. I'm honoring what's mine, honoring my own thoughts, my own feelings, my own hunger, honoring our own bodies. And I know that that sentiment is something that is shared deeply by Lisa Kilgour, which is one of the reasons that we connected so easily. So thank you for exploring that with me.
Oh, thank you so much for that, Lisa. That was, I don't want to think now. For those of you who are new to Zoom, you can change how your view is. So I'm about to change my view from speaker to gallery so I can see all of your lovely faces. But it just allows you to just see me or Lisa if we're talking, or the whole group. So I just thought I'd add that just in case you are new to Zoom. That was so lovely. And so what I'd like to talk with you about is the concept of undieting. So as a holistic nutritionist, as I said at the beginning, I work a little differently when it comes to food, that uh, I'm not, I don't give meal plans. I don't give out diets. I don't do calorie counting. And there's a deep reason for that. And that's because your body is a very unique body compared to everybody else. And it's not my place to tell you what to eat. And research shows that. So one of the main reasons that I moved into an undieting practice is the failure of dieting. Diets have a 95% failure rate, which means if you were to start eating a certain way within a year, you will have stopped eating that way. And chances are very high, if you're doing that for a change in body shape, that has reversed itself as well. There's nothing else in our life that has a 95% failure rate that we don't blame it for the problem. But with dieting, when we fail, we take it on as it was our problem, that we are the weak ones. But the truth is that there's something inherently wrong with the methodology, and that is the problem. And I'm gonna take you a bit further into this concept in a second, but I'd like to invite you to just to think about a very favorite food of yours. This doesn't have to be what's usually put into the healthy category. This really can be any food in the world, and just spend a moment thinking about that food. I'm going to be thinking about chocolate cake. That's my favorite food. And as you think about this favorite food, think about your relationship with it. Is it, how do you feel when you think about that food? Or if there was that food in front of you right now, how would you feel? Would you feel excited? Would you feel interested? Would you feel worried or stressed or out of control? Dieting culture has recommended to us that we put many of our favorite foods into the bad category, and that we need to use willpower to say no to them. And what research has found is that is the fastest route to binging on that food. That deprivation creates binging. So if you ever feel like if you eat one cookie or one bite of cake or one bite of chocolate that you can't stop, that is simply a side effect of the dieting culture that we have been in for many generations. So chances are really high that not only has this been a part of what's considered healthy eating for your entire life, it was also your parents' entire life and maybe their parents as well. So this concept of undieting, while rationally makes sense, it can be hard to get your head around sometimes because it's so ingrained in us that we have to say no to things that we really like, that if we don't say no, we will be unhealthy. My relationship with chocolate cake is I can eat it anytime I want. In my paradigm, if I wanted to drive down the road to my local grocery store and buy the biggest chocolate cake and eat the entire thing for dinner, I can. And that's why I don't. When something no longer has the energy of no behind it, we then can tune into our body and make a different decision. And that decision is based on, what does my body want? Sometimes my body wants chocolate cake, but it doesn't usually want a lot of it. It doesn't feel good to eat entire chocolate cake. If I can stay present with it and enjoy every bite, I also stop when I'm satisfied and I feel pleasure while eating it. But what dieting culture has done is has stolen that pleasure from us. So say that cake or whatever your favorite food is in front of you, there's a higher chance than not that the idea of eating it will make you feel guilty, and therefore you won't be enjoying it as much. In the undieting method, everything is always on the table, and because of that, you can tune into your body and understand better what it is that it's looking for. And so you can be guided to the different foods that your body wants. And I'm going to help you with some ways to find your way in. But if that little rational part of your brain is saying, yes, but Lisa, if I don't diet, I'm going to gain weight, or my health will go downhill, or all I'm going to eat is chocolate all the time. The truth is, and this is also research based, is the highest predictor of weight gain is dieting. Let me let that sit for a second. That going on a diet is a better predictor of weight gain than anything else that could possibly be a predictor. Therefore, there has to be another way. Therefore, going a different way is the only method, because this one, 95% failure rate, deprivation equals binging, and well studied to show that dieting creates weight gain in the future. And so instead, we need to shift our way of thinking and tune back into our body. So I love that Lisa just brought us into a process where we can feel out our body a bit more, because that is where there's a lot of really good information. But dieting culture also cuts our head off and makes it harder for us to understand what our body is feeling. Symptoms like, or body sensations like hunger, become hard to hear because you've been ignoring them for so long. So many people that I work with, a common symptom is, but Lisa, I don't feel hungry. So how am I supposed to only eat when I'm hungry? And the answer to that is, it's a process of re-listening. That at first you're going to eat because it's the time to eat. But over time, as you keep tapping in and listening, you're going to reconnect these nervous system connections, and that hunger signal is going to wake up. The symptom of what feels good is going to wake up again, and that this can change at any time. Years ago, about 10 years ago, I worked at my friend's belly dance studio in Penticton, and I took a few classes. And one of the things that she teaches at the end of every single class is how to do a belly roll. So, I can't do one, so I can't show you, but when you move all of those muscles in your belly. And she says that kids learn in the first class or the second class, they're doing a belly roll right away. But adults can take a year or longer. And the way to do it, though, is to just keep practicing it. So at the end of every class, you go to a mirror, you bend down to show all your rolls, and you try to move those muscles. And she has seen hundreds of cases that if you keep working at it, those connections between your brain and those muscles that haven't been practiced since you were a child reconnect. And the same thing happens with your hunger signals, with your craving signals, with all of those signals that for decades you may have been ignoring because of the practice of dieting. They all come back, and you start to really learn and understand what your body is looking for. And it's so wonderful. I eat food because my body loves it. And when I put a meal in front of me that is full of my favorite foods, and that those can be things like sweet potatoes covered in butter, or a beautiful roast chicken. Roast chicken and sweet potatoes, my favorite food. I literally, like, my body moves. I do a happy food dance, and I get this warmth in my chest as this, like, yeah, this feels good. And we can reconnect this connection at any time. One of the fastest paths to undieting is to embrace your body as your best friend and your best ally in your health. And again, that can be hard at first because your body just wants to eat cookies all the time. Or you may be dealing with physical symptoms that's hard to kind of embrace, but your body really is your best ally. It is looking out for you at every single minute. That everything it asks for has a purpose behind it. And understanding what that purpose is can make an enormous difference. And one of the fastest ways in is by listening to your cravings and beginning to understand why you crave them. So I'm going to take you through 4 of the most common cravings and what are what common body signals are. That wasn't a sentence. What they tend to mean in a large amount of people. But your body is unique, and so you may not resonate with this answer, and that's okay. Your body will show you an answer. I also have a book called Undieting that has a whole chapter dedicated to cravings, and so I've done many more cravings than that. So let's take a look at the most common craving I see, which is chocolate. Who is a big chocolate fan? I'm a giant chocolate fan. And so chocolate, particularly cocoa and dark chocolate, are a sign that your body could use some more magnesium, because chocolate is really high in magnesium. It's also really high in zinc and other minerals. Like it's a superfood. But magnesium cravings tend to be the most common when it comes to chocolate. And other symptoms of low magnesium levels are tight knots in your shoulders, or just tight knots in general, that your muscles clench better than they relax. It can be a lot of phlegm, coughing, or sinus congestion. That can be low magnesium. Low energy, trouble sleeping, trouble relaxing into sleep. Those are all other signs of low magnesium. So if you've got big chocolate cravings and you have low magnesium symptoms, and then bringing in medicinal cocoa, which my black bean brownies, one of the best parts of them is that they are medicinal magnesium, medicinal cocoa. I love using chocolate medicinally. And or bringing in a magnesium supplement. If you're already taking magnesium, you might not be taking enough. Most people need 500 to 800 milligrams of magnesium a day to start calming those symptoms down. Magnesium is by far the most common deficiency I see. We burn through it fastest when we're under stress, and have we had a stressful year. And so magnesium deficiencies are going to start getting louder now that we are coming through this really tough year. But you may not start noticing them even for 6 months, because sometimes it can take time. But if your chocolate cravings get really strong, especially if you start feeling really good when you eat dark chocolate, or that satisfied when you eat dark chocolate, then chances are this is a magnesium symptom, and dark chocolate, it helps with it. If you are just a sweet craver, if you just like sweet things, so chocolate, sure, but I really want candy or pastries or cookies, there's especially a candy craving, like really deep sweet cravings. That can be a couple things. It can be that you don't have enough carbohydrates in your diet. Carbs are out of style. They're totally out of fashion. And so we tend to be limiting our carbs and starches. And so that can drive a sugar craving, because your body still needs the carbs and knows you'll eat candy or cookies or pastries. But what your body really wants is potatoes. Or it can be due to pain. Candy in particular, I've noticed, has a very strong pain connection. That chronic pain triggers sugar cravings, and sugar cravings trigger pain, unfortunately. Refined sugar, like refined white cane sugar or high fructose corn syrup, any of the refined ones, do tend to make body pain worse. But body pain desperately asks for sugar, because sugar raises serotonin levels. And so for a moment, you get a brief reduction in that pain. Removing white sugar out of your diet, but leaving in starchy vegetables and leaving in fruit and even leaving in honey and maple syrup can, for many people, calm that pain down. And so if you feel like you might have a sugar pain connection, it takes about 4 days. If you get all that refined sugar out, and I've seen people go off Percocet by taking sugar out of their diet, or bringing their pain from an 8 out of 10 down to like a 2 out of 10. But also know that this is a physical craving, that your body is looking for more serotonin, and it can find it in things like fruit, sweet potatoes, starchy vegetables, but it's your body wanting something sweet. I got 2 more. Salt cravings. Who's a big salt craver? Actually, I'm not putting my hand because my salt cravings have gone away, but I see a bunch of hands go up. I have the best news for you. So salt cravings are cravings for salt. Salt has been vilified in our government recommendations and a lot of mainstream recommendations, because the government wants us to not eat so much processed food. But they can't say that, because processed food has really, really big lobbies, but salt doesn't. So they can say, hey, eat less salt. sea salt and table salt are also very, very different foods. It's like comparing white sugar and maple syrup. They're very different foods. And so sea salt has less sodium in it and more trace minerals and is much easier to absorb. But when you have big salt cravings, it's because your body actually needs sodium. Sodium and potassium are two of the most important minerals in your body. They're electrolytes and they make every cell function properly. And if your diet, I work with a lot of people eating a very healthy diet and they have massive salt cravings because their potassium and sodium is out of whack. Chances are also high you tend to sit with low blood pressure, and your body will use more sodium to pull your blood volume up. People with really high blood pressure don't tend to have big salt cravings. And so, but if you do tend towards high blood pressure, watch your processed food intake and just cut your salt for about a week and just then go by your taste buds. Like make sure your taste buds just aren't used to higher salt than your body is looking for. But most of the time, it's low blood pressure people and your food is good quality sea salt or Himalayan salt. The last one is evening craving. So it's not a food, it's a time. Who's gets evening cravings? Yeah, really, really common one. And so the main reason for evening cravings, and so evening cravings tend to feel really emotional. They tend to feel really out of control, and they can be emotional. But most of the time, I'd say in the 80 to 90% range, they are your body trying to fix an imbalance. Specifically, you didn't eat enough that day. So a couple of years ago when I was writing my book, so I guess it was a year ago. Yeah, a year ago or 2 years ago, I put up on Facebook, tell me your experience with dieting. And one person wrote, I'm great at dieting. I can eat perfectly from midnight to 10 p.m., but between 10 p.m. and midnight, all hell breaks loose. Sorry for my language. And that's a sign your body didn't like the other 22 hours. So what happens with evening cravings is the day is done, you sit on the couch, you take a deep breath, your cortisol falls, and now your body signals get louder because your stress level is calmer and your body is hungry and it screams, you have not fed me enough, or you've missed an entire macronutrient. So a lot of sugar cravings come from a low carb diet, but a lot of the times they're just because the body wants more literal energy, like it wants more food. And so the solution to evening cravings is to put that food earlier in the day. So you're using the energy in the movement of your day. And so if at first you're like, yeah, but Lisa, I'm on a diet, I'm trying to lose weight. I'm like, well, you're eating the food anyways. Just move it in the afternoon or move it to the morning, or increase your quantity of breakfast and lunch. And you will watch your evening cravings go away, and they'll only come back if you're working through something or your body needs some TLC. But most of the time, that hunger, that need for food will go away simply by bringing more food earlier in the day. So I'd like to share with you just a couple things. I'm just going to wrap up my section before I pass it over to Lisa with just a few things that you can do, some practical tips, because Lisa did such a great job at giving us some practical things we can do when we sit down to eat to just kind of ground ourselves and bring us back into our body. So some practical things you can do on a food side to embrace your body's wisdom and that best friend of your body is by shifting your way of looking at signs and symptoms. Instead of thinking, oh man, why do I want chocolate all the time? Or I can't believe I need chocolate all the time. Be curious about it. Why do I want chocolate? What's going on? What's going on today that's making me want food this evening? And you may not have the answer right away. It might take a few tries before it comes to you, but just be curious, just ask the question. And sooner than later, this answer is going to start popping up. And it might be when you have a conversation with somebody. I had a conversation with a client earlier who, while we were talking, realized a connection that she hadn't made before. And it's like, yeah, there we go. That's a good connection. So just by bringing in curiosity instead of using willpower, this is a way to embrace your body and find a deep connection to what it's looking for. A couple ways to tap in and listen is first through your cravings. So taking a look at your cravings and starting to understand and be curious about what they might mean, but also just very simply notice how you feel after eating. Again, you don't need to have an answer of why. Just when you eat a meal, how do you feel? Do you feel satisfied, or do you feel, are you craving something? Do you feel energetic, or do you feel kind of like tired and sluggish? What's going on? And just start connecting how you feel to what you eat without judgment, with just curiosity. And that can take you really, really far to really reconnecting to your body and finding that wisdom. And the last thing I want to leave you with before I pass it over to Lisa is the power of small changes. If you feel right now you need to make an enormous change in your diet or lifestyle, the best way to actually make that happen is with these slow incremental changes. That slow changes that feel really easy are the best way to have a big win. uh, Changes that you feel 95% confident that you can totally rock. And when that is feels like set and is working, then you find a new one. And while it feels slow at first, you can make an enormous amount of change in just a few months by implementing things really slowly. It allows your body to give you feedback. It allows you to realize, do I like this or don't I like it? Is it working? Is it not working? And when we embrace our body as our very best friend and understand that it's there to help us, we can start getting its guiding wisdom and shift our diet or shift our way of eating into a way that feels good, tastes good, and works for us.
So beautiful, Lisa. Such amazing tips there. And the common theme running through both of our offerings is this idea of balance, which, always seems to be something that we're working with. You're talking a lot about balance through nutrition. And another way that we get balance is from true rest. And I think we all know the importance of rest, and sleep can be an issue, and we can start to get stressed about sleep and falling asleep and waking up in the night. Well, there is a practice that's called yoga nidra. And if this is something that's new to you, that translates to yogic sleep. And especially if you've been thinking about starting a meditation practice, this is a really easy way in because you will be lying down. I'll be guiding you there in just a moment. And then the practice is you are constantly and compassionately guided by my voice into different relaxation techniques and visualizations so that you are deeply relaxing your body. And then the mind also rests. And in fact, the mind moves into a brainwave state where healing can begin. And so if you have had a challenging sleep, and I think we all know that sometimes a lack of sleep also feels like an unbalance that our body tries to balance out through different foods. But if sleep is a challenge for you, if we can add a practice 15, 20, 25 minutes of yoga nidra, that can actually equate to an hour or two of deep sleep. So we call it productive rest. And I teach about nourishment this month to my members. Those of you who are here, you know that. And that's one reason that I wanted to offer a class like this, because nourishment, when we think about it, yes, it is about nutrition. It's about nourishing our bodies and our cells, but we also nourish ourselves through rest and through presence. And that's what it means to nourish ourselves on every level. So I'll have you now set yourself up so that you can be comfortable and you can be still. Now I'm going to move back and set up a yoga mat for those of you who practice with a yoga mat, or you'd like to know what it's like to lay down on the floor. You can roll out your mat if you haven't already. If it's uncomfortable for you to get down onto the floor, please be on a couch, lie on your bed. I've done house calls with clients, and yoga nidra on the couch works beautifully. Anywhere where you can be comfortable. I have a bolster here, and at home you can use pillows. If you are lying down on your bed or on the floor, sometimes it's nice to have a bolster set up right underneath your knees. So as you lie down, this bolster would be behind your knees or at the back of your thighs, and that can support your low back if your low back feels tender when you lay down. All right. Also, you want to make sure that your neck is comfortable, that your chin is neutral. So you might like to have a folded blanket behind your head, a thin pillow behind your head. You want to make sure that you are warm enough. So if you do like to cover yourself with a blanket, if you also have something like an eye pillow that you can place lightly over your eyes, that can be helpful as well. I'll give you just a moment more to get yourself incredibly comfortable. This is your time. You are worthy of rest. You don't have to do anything to earn it or deserve it. You are worthy of rest. This is our birthright, this kind of restorative healing rest. So if there's anything that you could do to become even 1% more comfortable, do that. Sometimes it's nice to open up our feet and our knees a little bit further away from one another and allow our arms to be by our sides with our palms turned up. And we'll be moving through some tensing and releasing relaxation, which is also something you can do at bedtime too. You might get some ideas. Once you do find a position where you feel comfortable to remain still, it is also helpful to create an intention to stay awake. Now, it's very natural to fall asleep. Most of us need more sleep. So most of you may fall asleep, and that's okay. You're still getting a lot of the benefits, but it does help if you set an intention. If you say to yourself, now I am practicing yoga nidra. All right, good. When you have that position of comfort, receive the deepest breath in that you have taken all day long, as if your whole body could expand on your inhalation. And open your mouth, release an exhalation out of an open mouth. And feel your whole body here, lying on the ground. Feel all of the contact points between the back of your body and what supports you. And let your body be supported. Let your body know that it's safe to let go and relax. Next time you inhale, flex your feet, flex your toes up towards your face and take a deep breath in. Might even lift the feet up off of the ground. And then when you exhale, completely relax your feet. And feel both of your feet at the same time. And feel the heels sink into the ground or your couch or bed. And let your feet know that you appreciate them. Thank you, feet. Next time you inhale, firm up the muscles of your thighs and around your buttocks and your abdomen. Firm, firm, firm. Take a deep breath in. And then when you exhale, completely release all tension from the muscles of your legs. Completely release all tension from your hips and your abdomen. Imagine even that the abdominal organs could relax. And when you invite that intention, there's almost like another wave of relaxation that you might receive. And send some appreciation and love to your legs, all the ways that they support you, to your hips, to your abdomen, to all of those amazing organs within. Send a little love. It's okay if that feels hard. Just do your best. Offering a thank you. Next inhalation, shrug your shoulders up towards your ears and make fists with your hands. Firm, firm, firm up the muscles of the arms. And then exhale. Let all of that go. Shoulders heavy. Muscles of the arms relax completely. Fingers soft. It's like all the tension from the shoulders, all the worry in the heart strains down the arms and out of your fingertips. And feel the contact points between the backs of your hands and arms and upper back. Feel that on the ground, sinking deeper into the ground. And thank you to hands and arms, all that we are able to hold and reach for. And then finally, on your next inhale, firm up the muscles of your face. Squeeze up your face real tight. Bring everything into the center. Squeeze your eyes and squeeze your mouth. And then when you exhale, relax the face completely. Feel the forehead become smooth. The space between the eyebrows expands. Feel the cheeks relax, and the tongue floats to the upper palate just behind the two front teeth, so the jaw becomes soft. Feel sensations of your whole face. Feel sensations of your whole head. And thank you to all these senses. Thank you. Sense of taste and mouth. Thank you. Sense of smell and nose. Thank you. Sense of sight and eyes. Sense of listening and ears. Thank you. Sense of touch and all of this sensation. Feel full body sensation now. Allow your awareness to move in all directions. Letting every area of your body be touched by the compassionate gaze of your attention. Now I invite you to begin to count backwards from 10. The counts will be connected to your exhalations. So your next soft, subtle exhalation will be 10, followed by 9, 8, and continue. Each number and each exhalation drops you down a step lower into complete relaxation. Once you reach 0, you are completely at ease and profoundly relaxed. Wherever you are in your count, release it and notice the soft, subtle, cool air moving into each nostril and the warmer air moving out. Notice that your breath has become thread-like, the chest still, but the navel rising with ease on every soft inhalation, and navel falling on the exhale. Let your attention follow the navel, gently rising and descending in time with your effortless breath, There's no more control of it, for you are being breathed. As you inhale and the navel rises, you feel as though the ground beneath you rises to support you more deeply. And as you exhale, you are able to descend into more rest. Though this breath is subtle, it's alive in the body, creating a rhythm in the body, a rhythm that rocks you back and forth into deeper levels of relaxation. Seems to rock your bones gently to and fro. There's no more control of this breath, but you can watch it flow. Watch your inhalation stream up the length of your body from the soles of your feet to the crown of your head. And watch your exhalation flow back down from the crown of your head to your feet, taking with it any lingering places of tension. For the next few rounds, see and feel this roll of energy move up the body from the soles of the feet to the crown, and wash back down the body from the crown of the head to the feet. Next few breaths. Next time you send your exhalation down from the crown of your head towards the feet, land your awareness at the center of your chest. Symbolic heart, spiritual heart, or simply the center of your chest and the sensations that you find there. Rest your awareness there. And at the same time, allow the mind to time travel to a moment in your memory when you felt profoundly safe. Maybe somebody comes to mind with whom you feel safe. Maybe there's a memory when you felt completely comfortable and free, held and safe. All of our memories are a part of us. Let go of trying to find the perfect one and allow it to find you. And when it does, allow yourself to stay there with that face, with that situation, in that place. If nothing comes to you, build out of your mind's eye a place for you to feel safe. Build an area in nature that you have seen or maybe you have never been. Some place that is the epitome of beauty and security. Some place that you can visit whenever you want, whenever you need. And when you're starting to sense a feeling of safety and freedom, feeling held and nourished, begin to deepen your breath, allowing the inhalation to expand that feeling. As if you could fill yourself up with that sense of feeling safe, feeling held, feeling secure. Inhale, you'll expand it, you'll breathe it in, you'll infuse every cell of your body with it. And as you exhale, expand that feeling more. Imagine that that feeling is expanding right out to the edges of your body and then beyond. If you're a visual person, add light to the sensation. Nourishing, warm, golden light. Breathe it in, deepening, and exhale, expand it. And maybe it fills up your space and you begin to see a glow behind closed lids. Let yourself have this memory, have this light, have this practice beyond this moment. Anytime you need comfort, anytime you need to feel secure, you can find it within yourself. On your next big breath in, watch the abdomen expand, watch the whole body expand, start to move fingers and toes and allow yourself to stay present with that feeling. Eventually, perhaps a full body stretch, and thank yourself for staying with yourself, for practicing this, for offering yourself this care. Eventually, rock over to one side and draw yourself up to a seated posture. And allow yourself to receive, to continue to receive the benefits of that kind of rest. And that is really sort of a mini example. Palms are facing up, an embodiment of receiving. And maybe we feel a little bit more authentic about an intention to feel gratitude for this body. Maybe one hand can come to the abdomen. Maybe one hand can come to the heart. And maybe there is a thank you body. And if not, maybe there is a I'm willing to work towards befriending you body, reconnecting with you, feeling grateful for you. I am so grateful that you are here to practice that yoga nidra with me. Thank you. Now we will, even though we've gone a few minutes over, I did not think we could do that. I guess it's easy to do. We welcome any comments or questions that you have. I know we gave you a lot, so I know we both don't want to leave anybody hanging. So you're welcome to ask us questions through the chat or unmute.
One question has come through the chat. So as you think of questions, I will just answer it. So April asks, after eating a salty snack, then I crave sugar. Why does that happen? April, I so have the same problem. So salt and sugar are on opposite sides. And so sometimes the body wants to find balance. And so if something was too salty for your body wants to balance it with a bit of sugar. So like if I have popcorn and I add too much salt on it, then I want a square of chocolate afterwards. I've noticed if I cut the amount of salt to a more palatable level, then that can cut my sugar craving. But honestly, it just might be that your body is looking to find balance, and having a little bit of sweet will satisfy it and say to your body, yep, I heard you. You listened. Okay, thank you. And it can open up more conversation by doing that small little thing of having a bit of something sweet after you eat salty.
We have another question about where to buy Undieting.
Yes. So Undieting, another shameless plug. Here's the book.
So
it's available in store in some bookstores, but the easiest way to find it is online. Chapters carries it, Amazon, and most online retailers. You can also special order it from a local bookstore. So if you're in the Okanagan, Mosaic Books in Kelowna tends to carry some because I'm a local author. But if you go to undieting.ca, you'll get more information on the book, but also a link directly to some online retailers to buy it.
The way that the practice is pronounced, it's Yoga Nidra, Nidra. There was a question about the name of it, and that means yogic sleep. And you can find practices of Yoga Nidra on many different meditation apps. I have a site and I've got many different lengths and intentions, and it's actually one of the biggest tools in my yoga therapy toolbox. and I prescribe yoga nidra, and I record customized yoga nidras to my clients. And then I know there was another question here about sleep. Why don't you take that, Lisa? And I have a question for you too.
So the question is it true that proper rest can help maintain a healthier body weight, or is that not enough sleep makes you hold weight? Great question, because it's about balance. When you don't get enough sleep, then your body is more insulin resistant the next day, and so it's really like what happened last night changes what happens today. And when your body's a bit more insulin resistant, it means it overreacts when you eat carbohydrates and can drive sugar cravings. So a bad night's sleep really is making you want to eat more all day long. And that's where fixing your sleep or working on sleep is so important. Yoga nidra, I always mispronounce it, is a great way to help you get into deep sleep, or you can use it through the day to catch up on some sleep. And sleep is just a very, very powerful way to find the whole body balance, and that weight, your body does tend to hold on to more weight if you're chronically sleep deprived.
And just as an anecdotal add-on to that answer, when I have been sleep deprived and I feel how hungry I feel, and I do a yoga nidra those days, that completely balances out my hunger. So I feel nourished on a deeper level. So that is just anecdotally helpful. And then one more question, and maybe there's more, but for you, Lisa, from me, I tend to crave a sweet after each meal. And I was wondering, like I resonate a little bit with the salt, but I also wonder, is there a habitual emotional piece of that? I had a mom who made dessert every single night. And so we always had like a little sweet after lunch and a little sweet after dinner. And I sometimes wonder if there's just like a memory piece there too.
And there absolutely can be. And there might be a drive for that sweet. If there isn't any other sweet flavors, some constitutions are balanced with the literal taste of sweet. And that if your meal maybe doesn't have any starchy carbohydrates or not enough starchy carbohydrates or something sweet in it, your body is going to want that balance. And there's nothing wrong with having something a little sweet after every meal. But what I invite you to start with is look for the meals that you don't have the drive for something sweet, and just see what's the difference between those ones and the ones that you really are thinking about it. And even if it's just like on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being that I need to have something sweet, and sometimes it lands at a 3 or a 4 level, that could be like just noticing what's unique about each one of those meals might help guide you. And hello, Kitty. Bev is showing off a cat, and everybody got to see my cat earlier, but she decided to leave right before we got started.
Well, that answer was just, more about noticing and more about curiosity. So I'm just hearing a lot from both of us, less about judging and less about listening to voices outside of ourselves, and more about becoming curious and noticing what really is inside of ourselves. And that can take practice.
Absolutely. And Elizabeth is wanting to know how to find more out about your website. She has killer insomnia.
All right. So you can find me at lisadumasyoga.com. And just like Lisa Kilgour, who has a beautiful monthly membership hub, Your Beautiful Life, I have one, Vibrancy and Tranquility Daily, and it's just full of over 100 practices. So lisadumasyoga.com, and then my friend is lisakilgour.com. And we'll be sending out a replay of this so that you all can have it, and you'll have that information about us too. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to tell you about that. Thanks for asking.
I think that's all of the questions that have come through the chat. Does anybody want to unmute themselves and ask it verbally? Anybody have any questions? You can throw a hand up or just unmute yourself and ask.
I just feel so excited to see all of these faces. It's so nice.
It's so nice. Yes. This is my first experience where I've been able to see your faces while doing a webinar, and this is quite lovely. I've enjoyed it greatly. So thank you to all of you who have had your camera on, and thank you for all of you who joined. Camera was completely voluntary. You didn't need to do that. Hello, Erin.
I can't. Yeah, I'm having trouble with the computer here. Sorry.
Okay.
I can't. I can only see. I was looking at Lisa's website, and now I've got a little tiny screen and can only see Lisa Dumas. I can't see the rest of you now, or where my buttons are. No, I was just the insomnia piece. I was picking up little bits. Certainly enjoyed the yoga, and the bit about magnesium. I've been told it over and over again, and I just don't know. I have never tried taking a supplement other than to try taking baths at night with. An osteopath friend of mine actually recommended supplementing instead of just taking like Epsom salts in the bath. I take magnesium citrate, which a friend takes. My boyfriend takes it orally, but she recommended that I just take a capsule and put it into the bath so that my body would absorb it rather than ingesting it. And she thought my body might uptake more of it, or just the amount that I needed that way, rather than swallowing it. And so certainly I try to do that relaxation piece by having the bath with a little bit of lavender essential oil and especially if my muscles are tense after skiing or something like that, because I really didn't get to teach skiing this winter because of COVID, but typically that's what I do in the wintertime. That will kind of help relax the muscles. But I try to do some of my own guided meditations with calming down my anxiety at night to just shut my brain off, because my brain just doesn't turn off. I don't feel tired often. And that's been chronic since I was in my 20s, subsequent to PTSD. So anyway, that was picking up pieces that were helpful that would help with that. And I really haven't given the supplements a try in terms of the nutrition. So I guess maybe I would like to learn more about what whole foods I can get it in. I prefer to get my nutrients via food instead of spending money on supplements where possible. I still can't see everybody. I don't know what the heck is going on here.
If you click the little blue Zoom button at the you might have a little emblem at the very bottom. It should bring us back up.
Green arrow here. Oh, there we go. I got it. Okay, thanks.
I think your question is a little bit for both of us, Lisa. So you might want to just quickly address the magnesium piece.
Sure. So you're right that you can absorb magnesium through your skin, either through Epsom salt baths, or you can get topical magnesium spray. Most of my experience is with taking it as a supplement, and it does tend to work fairly quickly to bring your levels up. But some people do have absorption problems, and that's where topical can come in. You can do both. It takes a lot of magnesium to take too much. With magnesium citrate, it just becomes a laxative and your body just releases it. So it's hard you won't overdose in magnesium. If
do you just go to
sorry?
Over the counter? Do you just go in terms of buying it though? It seems like there's a whole host of options. Do you just go, I was just literally using what my boyfriend had, which was a capsule of magnesium citrate. I didn't have to shop or make any decisions there. Yeah. So it made it a little bit easier. So, are there liquid types? Are there certain types that are better absorbed or easier to, you know what I mean, that won't give you that sort of laxative effect, or does it?
So yeah, there are different forms. So magnesium bisglycinate, it tends to be it's thought to be the best to absorb, but it also never becomes a laxative, or it rarely does. You have to be sensitive to the other ingredients for that to happen. Magnesium citrate is cheap and easy. And so I usually start there, just because like Natural Factors has a really good magnesium citrate that is quite affordable. What you want to avoid is magnesium oxide. That is a laxative, only a laxative. It's really cheap. It's really easy to find, but it won't do anything for your magnesium levels. It will help you in the bathroom in the morning. But that's it. That's all it'll do. And so bisglycinate or citrate, malate is okay, but usually citrate or bisglycinate is what I'd recommend.
That's better too. Okay, I'll keep an eye out for those. I did try something to help alleviate constipation, because I was taking codeine for pain for my tooth, and it was awful. Like, my mom recommended it. She's a nurse, and I took it twice. And then I was like, ugh, wanted to hang my head over the toilet. I'm like, I can't continue this. So I only spent, I don't know, between $16 and $30 on the bottle. And then I'm like, nope. Yeah, don't need this.
Much gentler laxative if you need a laxative.
The magnesium, which one? Magnesium oxide. Okay.
Yeah, if you do need a laxative, magnesium oxide works.
Typically, I don't. Like I said, this was just strictly because I was taking a lot of painkillers over about a 4-day period because of the tooth, and then I had a partial root canal, and the antibiotics and pain went away, and I was okay. But yeah, whatever I was taking to help prevent me getting too clogged up was awful. It just made me want to, filled me with gas, made me want to, yeah, it won't bore you with the details. It didn't work.
Well, and Erin, as far as,
Yeah.
also your challenges with sleep and anxiousness, like that's like a whole other Zoom class, honestly. So, but there are lots of different practices to calm your mind, to become present centered, to also calm down about getting to sleep, to calm down about waking up. I mean, there is a lot that you can do before you go to sleep, establishing a certain routine, moving in certain ways. Sometimes our body is just not ready to rest because we haven't discharged some stress. And so anxiety reduction is kind of, that's my entire purpose as a yoga therapist. So maybe we will connect further after this call.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, everybody. Have a beautiful rest of your week. First day of summer coming up on Sunday. And I hope that we will all cross paths at some point again. I love working with Lisa, so could be.